Okay, tonight there's a lot to talk about. One thing is, Super Bowl night. I'm not real thrilled about watching the Super Bowl, but we are going to talk some football, which is kind of interesting. Okay, Cleveland Browns Stadium. Get a load of this, okay? So the Haslams that have $8 billion in their war chest, they want the citizens of Ohio to pay for a new domed stadium in Brook Park, okay? So it's like the most ludicrous thing I've ever heard of. We'll talk more about this in a minute, but thank God you got people like Matt Huffman, the House Speaker, and also the Minority Leader Allison Russo, a Democrat. They are not in favor at all in what the governor is proposing. So what is the governor's plan? He wants to start taxing cigarettes like $1.20 more a pack. He wants to start taxing the marijuana, and he wants to start taxing sports betting. And that's one I have a real problem with when you get to the sports betting, because you're taking all the fun out of living here, okay? That's the problem with Ohio. It's like no fun to live in Ohio because we're taxed. We're taxed for everything we do. If I take my glasses off, I get taxed. There's a tax for glasses being removed. There's a tax for everything. So, talk about this coming up here in just a minute. Something else in the news I thought was interesting here. According to the Associated Press, Ohio Governor Mike DeWine is ordering that state employees have to go back to work, and not only do they got to go back to work, but they got to work 5 days a week. I don't think that's going to sit well with the unions. I think they're going to be probably putting a lawsuit together saying it's cruel and unusual punishment. You can't do that to state employees. You can't make them work Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday every week and show up. Actually show up in the office. That ain't going to last long, I can tell you right now. Something else I caught my eye here. This is Chris Quinn. He is the editor of Cleveland.com. The Plain Dealer is a very woke newspaper. Don't buy it. Don't buy it. But anyhow, he's talking here. It's kind of interesting about secret arrests. And this is where people are snatched off the streets by government agents and whisked away without any explanation. Now, I don't know about you, but I'm just looking at the picture here. It doesn't look like it's all that secret to me, okay? I mean, you got like 5 reporters there. You got a bunch of people watching, some social media influencers standing around, guys with cameras and everything like that. It just doesn't look very secretive. Okay, but watch out for it. Watch out for it. Also, later on today, we'll talk a little bit about Jobs Ohio. I'm hearing some really bad stuff in relation to Jobs Ohio, like it's a scam and like we need a Doge to take over in Ohio, which is why I'm kind of leaning towards Vivek Ramaswamy. Get some fresh blood into Ohio at the governor position that's going to maybe create a Doge and look into Jobs Ohio, because it looks like a huge scam. We'll maybe talk about that a little bit later. And then there's Trump Rushmore. There it is, Trump Rushmore. I don't know. It looks pretty fancy. You know, for one thing I did notice about that is everybody else, all the other presidents, it's just the head. But Trump wants his entire suit and tie and everything to be carved out. But I think it looks pretty good there. I think it looks pretty good. We can go with that, and we can also do this. All right, let's see who is here tonight. Yeah, let's take a look. Brian, you're in there. How you doing, man?
I am here in the house tonight.
And so is
nice
Leonard.
To see you,
Leonard. How you doing?
Hello, Leonard.
I'm here.
All right, so tonight is tonight's Super Bowl night. I'm not a big fan of Super Bowl. I don't know. It just doesn't have that same appeal to me. I know it's like everybody's watching it and stuff, but these guys are all like this tall and 350 pounds, and they're all trying to tackle each other because like somebody's got a ball. I just don't understand that.
Joe, what are the teams that are playing? I honestly
Philadelphia
don't know
and KC. Philadelphia and KC. So I don't even know who I would vote for. I mean, I guess KC.
Yeah, when they, I don't know, when NFL took the knee, that was it for me.
Yeah, when they get into all that wokeism and stuff, forget it. No, Leonard, you voting for? Are you caring at all? Do you give a rat's you know what about the game tonight at all, or not?
Not really. It doesn't excite me. So
Yeah. No, I got you.
I passed that ship a long time ago.
Yeah, it's just, yeah, I know. I can stomach the Buckeyes. I love the Buckeyes. If they're playing, I like really good college football games, and that's about it. Don't get me any further than that. But let's talk here for a minute. I kind of did a little intro into some of the stories, but I want to go more in depth here for the Cleveland Browns Stadium for a minute. Did you guys hear? Well, first of all, Speaker Matt Huffman, who's a Republican, and Minority Leader Allison Russo, the Democrat, both said that they are not in favor of Governor DeWine's plan. And basically, Governor DeWine's plan is just tax the hell out of everything so that we can pay for a stadium that a billionaire can have a nice domed stadium in Brook Park.
Is that what he wants, the dome? Is that the...
It's got to be a dome. It's got to be a dome. And
so what do we do with the old stadium?
I don't know. And here's the thing. You only play about 8 games a season, right? Because the Browns are never in the playoffs. They're never gonna be in the Super Bowl. And then what do you do with that stadium after that? And he's wanting Haslam, the guy with the $8 billion, he's the one who wants us to be flipping the bill on our taxes here. Here's DeWine's plan. DeWine's plan is a couple of things. One is he wants to put like a $1.20 tax on cigarettes, an increase of like a $1.20 in tax, and then he wants to increase the marijuana, and then DraftKings and FanDuel, all the sports betting. He can't have that. Leonard and I have got that earmarked for replacing the property taxes, so that can't go for the stadium. Yeah, see, you could use it for something that is beneficial and not a stupid stadium with a roof on it. Okay, but anyhow. There's only 3 states. He wants to up the sports betting tax to 40%. Oh, that's just really going to be fun then, right? And there'd be only 3 states that would have a higher sports betting tax than that: New York, Delaware, and New Hampshire. All right, we would be number 4 in the country with the highest tax on sports betting. That's ridiculous. I mean, what the hell is he doing to Ohio? He's crushing Ohio. And here's something else you're going to love. Digging into this a little bit, here's how he's going to distribute the money. The money that he collects off all these new taxes is going to go to a new commission. He's going to establish like a 5-person commission or something who's going to decide what to do with all the money. What do you think of them apples?
Another bureaucracy.
Another layer of
another one. Yeah.
Another layer of bureaucracy and stuff like that. Like just be like NOACA. We have these medical health.
Did you say Ohio, I didn't know that there was a tax on gambling. I mean, if I bet $5, how much do I have to pay on a $5 bet?
Yeah, well, the thing is, I'm not real familiar with it because I don't do it, but he's saying, okay, you're only going to be taxing FanDuel and the other one. What's the other one? Let's see, you got FanDuel and DraftKings. So he's only taxing them on their gross receipts revenue. So they're the ones paying the tax. But darn well.
They're paying the tax.
Yeah, they're the ones paying that extra 40%. But darn well, that's somehow going to come back to you. I mean, it always does. Sure. Whenever you
they're not taking out of their profits.
No, they're not going to. I know. It's like, somebody's got to talk to DeWine and put a little common sense into him. It doesn't work that way. Plus, there'd be fewer people betting, so the tax revenue would go down. Same with the cigarettes or the marijuana or whatever. So you're never going to have the same level. And that's what's really weird, too. He wants people puffing up the cigarettes like crazy, getting high all the time, drinking like crazy, drinking like a bunch of sailors. And then he wants us all gambling like hell. What the heck? So that he can bring in enough revenue to build a stadium. It ain't cutting it with me, man. That ain't cutting it.
Let's keep perpetuating this immorality. Is there
anything
that's not taxing?
Total and complete immorality. It's like, what the heck? That does not make any sense. That does not make any sense. What we need is some guys out there with bullhorns. That's what we need.
Oh, look at that guy. Oh no! Hide your kids. Look at.
All right. Yeah.
Oh my.
So anyhow, that's what's going on there with that. The cost of the stadium is going to be $2.4 billion. So Haslam is saying that he is going to throw in some money. Nice of him. But man, Haslam also wants local governments.
That's going to be a very nice stadium. Is that the one that's going to be where, in Brook Park?
It's going to be in Brook Park. I know, it looks really, really nice. But don't fall for it.
Is that where are
Don't
they going to
fall
wipe
for
out
it.
some homes there? Are they waiting for people to be priced out of their house and buy their houses?
Is that how they're going to get the land? I think it's that Ford Brook Park motor plant that shut down a long time
that big
ago.
Ford plant that shut down there? Oh, they're going to tear that down.
Tear that down, put up a stadium, put up a bunch of stores and everything. And here's the other thing, too. The argument that I keep hearing about it, too, is that it's not like you're going to just think about it, okay? If you're putting up stores and everything there, then all the surrounding communities like Parma and Westlake, Rocky River, Independence, wherever, you're pulling people away from those establishments, right, to go there to eat. And keep in mind, the stadium is only going to be used 8 times a year. So you have to bring in a lot of people from these other establishments to keep these other restaurants and stuff that you're going to build occupied. But then those other restaurants aren't going to be occupied. You know what I mean? It's just not enough people. There's not enough people in the area. It's ridiculous. Utterly
So we're going to
ridiculous.
expand the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame or something? Tear down the old stadium and expand it? Or put something else on it?
That's a good point. I don't know what they're going to do with the old stadium. I don't know. It's a nice stadium. Nothing wrong with it.
You know, I've never been in. How long has it been around? I've never been in it.
I've only been in it once. And it was a long time ago
I
to watch a game.
I used to watch the Indians all the time, but no interest.
Well, that's Jacobs Field, though. That's or it used to be Jacobs Field. What is it now? Progressive Field. All right. So anyhow, that's neither here nor there. But the citizens cannot pass any kind of a tax. You know, Huffman's on the right side. So is Allison Russo. I got to give her credit. You know, I don't give her credit much, but she's on the right side of that. Okay, wait a minute. We got a let's see what this says. The D Dockery. We have Shad Khan here in Jacksonville, Florida, and we're paying for his new stadium for the Jaguars. You guys are preaching to the choir. Yeah. I mean, what's up with all that, right? These guys are massive billionaires, and we're gonna pay us, you know, we're gonna have to flip so that they can live in comfort. They're already living in comfort. Massive comfort. And some of the money, too. Now, Cincinnati is saying, well, if you use state funds to build a new stadium for Cleveland, you got to repair our stadium in Cincinnati. So we'll see where all this goes. That makes sense. All right.
Well, yeah, but if the stadium leaves downtown Cleveland, what happens to all the restaurants and everything in downtown Cleveland?
Well,
they're going to be adversely affected.
Yeah, they're going to be emptying out. No doubt about it. They'll be emptying out. You got it. So there's just not enough people to go around. And part of the problem is because we keep taxing everything. Nobody wants to live here, man. The taxes are crazy. And the reason we have taxes that are so crazy is because the leadership, that's the only thing they know how to do is just tax. Create a new commission so that the new money comes into this commission, that the governor can control the people in the commission, and he can do what he wants with the money. It's all corruption. And we're not going to get into it tonight, but Jobs Ohio in a future podcast, we're going to look at Jobs Ohio because I've heard that is corruption. And we'll see. As a matter of fact, Dave Yost put this out on letterhead there. He says, I have grave concerns that this is not a good deal for Ohioans because Jobs Ohio got a 25-year lease to run that company. They get tons of money, and they're not even a government entity. Okay, they're getting so much money. It's not. They're getting money off of liquor sales. Okay, tax money off of liquor sales is going to Jobs Ohio, which is run by a commission of some type, a nonprofit actually. And they're not doing anything except collecting lots and lots of cash. They pay themselves $2 million just to be board members. What do you think of that?
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah. So,
Leonard, that's another
Jack
source
Windsor,
for our
Jack
issue.
Windsor's been investigating this. A couple other people. You got our Attorney General investigating it. Well, come on already. You guys are the ones who created this thing, right? The government created it. Chop it off. Get rid of it.
Right.
Unless
there's an awful lot of money coming back to the politicians, somehow, shape, or form.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I mean, yeah. I wouldn't put that. I wouldn't put that past anybody. Nowadays,
Sure.
speaking of which,
that's how the system works.
Oh, yeah. Definitely works that way. Let's talk about that system in all its full glory right now. So we got to talk about this USAID. Let's switch gears into that. And I got this poor little kid here. No. He's been putting his hand into the cookie jar and been told that he's got to get his hand out of the cookie jar. All right, the USAID. Wow, talk about corruption. It's off the charts. And by the way, if anybody is in the chat room, please chat. We'd love to have you, love to have the discussion with you as well on anything. You know, this is as much your show as it is ours. So if you're in the chat room and you want to chat, please chat. Would really appreciate it. But, okay, you've heard about, Brian Leonard, you guys heard about the USAID, that incredible slush fund of money. But I got to tell you something. It ain't nothing compared to what is happening in the Treasury Department. All right, Treasury Department is 10 times worse, maybe 100 times worse. And that's where all the real big money is. So listen to this. The judicial system is trying to shut down and sabotage Musk's efforts and Trump's efforts. You know, on February 6th, there was an activist judge named Colleen Catali. So on February 6th, Judge Colleen Catali restricted Doge's access to the Treasury systems. She only allowed 2 Doge employees to look at anything, and it could only be read-only, and it could only be certain areas of the Treasury Department that they were allowed to even look at, okay? The following day, on February 7th, Judge Paul Engelmeyer steps in, and he just obliterates what Catali said, because he takes it way beyond that. He filed a lawsuit with 19 states' attorney generals. And what he is doing now to Musk and them is he's blocking anyone from accessing any personal information from the Treasury Department, including the Treasury Secretary himself is not allowed to access any information. Engelmeyer also demanded that any information be immediately destroyed that was obtained or downloaded since January 20th. And they're going to have a hearing on February 14th. Musk has said that he wants to file an impeachment against this judge. Once him get impeached, who knows? But listen to this. Brian, you're big into accounting, right? Wasn't that what your specialty was?
Yes, it was. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Accounting.
All right, accounting. So Musk was saying that he is... that they have to require all outgoing government payments to categorize a code. So every outgoing payment has to be categorized with a certain code.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? He said this code is often never used, virtually never used, making an audit very difficult, almost impossible, a financial audit. And then he was saying that in the comments section, where you're supposed to at least give some semblance of information as to where this is going or for what reason or anything. He says it's almost always left blank.
Yeah.
And
so goes
everything
into
is
one
left
big
blank.
fund.
Payments are going out, and lots of big payments are going out. And Musk is also quoted as saying, he said, yesterday I was told that there was $100 billion of entitlement payments to individuals with no Social Security number or ID number. Treasury sent out $100 billion to people without Social Security numbers or any ID numbers. And he asked some Treasury people in the room, he said, how much of that do you think could be just outright waste and outright fraud? And they said probably half.
Oh, my gosh.
Probably half. And Musk is saying that he thinks that he could trim about $1.7 trillion from the Treasury. That's how much fat they have. This is not even funny. It's not even funny.
Yeah, when you think about it, when we go through, individual goes through an IRS audit, boy, if we don't have a copy of a receipt, boy,
right.
We're throwing out the window, right?
Right. If you don't have a receipt or anything, man, they'll eat you alive. But
right.
they can trim off $1.7 trillion in fat, and it's like, come on, what the heck is going on here? All right, this is the USAID administrator, Samantha Powers, and she is under fire. Now we're back to USAID.
She's been around for a long time, hasn't she, Samantha Powers? I remember that name.
Yeah, maybe. I'm not sure. But here's the problem. The net worth increased from $6.7 million to $30 million in the last 3 years.
That's a lot of good investments, I'm telling you.
That's a lot of cash outsky for somebody making $180,000 living in Washington, D.C.
Right.
If you're living in Washington, D.C., that's a high cost of living. So $180,000 didn't go nearly as far as it would in Ohio.
I wonder if she's ever audited by the IRS.
Isn't that suspicious? Don't you think the IRS should look into that, right?
I would think so, yeah.
I mean, your net
Look
worth.
what they did to Donald Trump.
Yeah. And even for her net worth to get to $6.7 million, it's a little fishy to begin with, right? I mean, she's only making $180,000.
Unless she's made some good investments, but it's questionable.
Yeah, I mean, she'd have to make some really, really good high-powered investments with that. But, yeah, so anyhow, in the last 3 years, she's running that USAID, and she's gone from $6.7 million to $30 million bucks. That's not bad. I mean, I wish you and I could do that. I was also looking at somebody like Maxine Waters, the black congresswoman.
Right.
Real old with a real big mouth, real big.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yes.
Flapping her like this.
Leonard's the one you should ask for investment, right? Leonard? Is there anything wrong with that investment? Samantha Powers?
Well, let me tell you what's interesting. What do you think is the average rate of return for the people in Congress or legislators? What do you think that average rate of return is?
Oh, no
on their
idea.
money?
I'd like to know, though. I'd like to know.
Okay, now, at minimum, what I investigated was 70%.
Wow.
Okay.
70%.
Now, you and I struggle. We'd be happy if we get a 3% return. We're jumping for joy, right? Now,
yeah, 5% would be
the minimum
over
is
the
70%. And on the high end, some people are making as high as 150% return on their money.
Wow.
Now, I got to tell you something. That's a sweet gig. Yeah. So why would somebody want to give that up?
Yeah, but okay.
It's
but
amazing.
That is amazing. But here's the other thing, too, that I find amazing is I was going to tell you about that Maxine Waters. The reason I brought her up is that her house was valued at $4.5 million. Okay. And she has no other income than what's coming in through her $180,000 a year salary. And she also, they were saying she gives her daughter $100,000 every year. So her daughter has some spending money, I guess. And everything else. But, how does that happen? AOC, who was completely dirt broke, a number of years ago, and now she's a multi-millionaire. How does this stuff happen?
Bartending has some real benefits, really.
Yeah, she's bartending, and it's really it's doing a thing for them. All right, well, that's just something to think about. I'm going to switch gears here. I'm going to talk about this for a minute. We're playing musical chairs again with the State House, and do
we have to keep seeing these same guys in office?
Yeah, it's kind of getting old.
This is musical chairs. Go around, and when the music stops, sit down.
All right, so it is just nothing but musical chairs. When you look at these guys, Husted started off as Speaker of the House in 2005. Then he became Secretary of State in 2011. Then he became Lieutenant Governor in 2019, and now he's in the U.S. Senate. Okay, lifetime career politician. He doesn't know anything except politics. But I guess it's a good gig if you can get it. Look at Yost. He became auditor, then he attorney general, and now he's running for governor. LaRose, state senator, then secretary of state, and now he wants to run for auditor. And then you have Faber, who is the auditor. He was Senate president, state rep, auditor, but he's term limited out as auditor. So now he wants to grab attorney general. Well, Yost is the current attorney general. So Faber wants to grab Yost's seat. LaRose wants to grab Faber's seat. And then we go over to Sprague. Sprague was a state rep, then a treasurer, and then he was secretary of state. He wants to run for secretary of state now, which is Frank LaRose's office that Frank LaRose currently has.
Round and round and round and round and round and round we go.
So where does LaRose go after this?
LaRose, let me put the graph back up because it's confusing. LaRose wants to be the auditor now. He's Secretary of State looking at the elections. He's got the gold standard for Ohio. So now he wants to be the auditor. Okay, and the current auditor is Faber. But Faber, his time is out, so he's got to jump to a different seat. He wants to be Attorney General. Well, Yost, who is the Attorney General, his seat is done, so he wants to become governor.
So what makes him qualified for auditor?
Who? Faber?
LaRose.
Oh, that's right. LaRose wants to be auditor. Nothing makes him qualified.
Well, is there any,
that's a ridiculous statement to even say.
Don't we need some qualifications? How dare you even
insult our intelligence by saying that these guys have to have some semblance of reasonality for doing what they're doing?
Well, I mean, if the average citizen went and applied for a job, they would usually have some qualifications before they applied for the job. And not just an R after their name or a D after their name. That's just me.
Yeah. Well, what qualified LaRose to be Secretary of State? What qualified Faber to become auditor? What qualified Sprague to be treasurer? He's trying to be Secretary of State. What qualifies any of these guys? I mean, seriously, you bring up a good point.
Well, then the question is, do they need qualifications to run for state office?
No. And that's part of the problem. That is part of the problem. You just got to get elected, and that's what's wrong with our system of government. Because if you get elected and you know how to get elected, then what you do is, okay, you've got, see, these guys get out in the limelight, they get their face out there all the time, people think they know them. Okay, so then and the Democrats never put anybody up that's any kind of competition. So they just naturally win, all right? Now, what do? They're going to bring people that have been their supporting cast. When they're auditor, they've got a team of people, of staff people. When they go from auditor, let's go to treasurer. They're going to bring those same people with them. They've been loyal to them, okay? Those people don't know anything about the new office either. But then you have to rely on some outside expertise people. And since you don't have the knowledge, they could pull the wool over your eyes. It's just, the whole thing is just, that's what's wrong with the whole political system, though. But what's really wrong is if all we're going to do is play this stupid musical games, which just drives you absolutely crazy.
This is musical chairs. Go around, and when the music stops, sit down.
Okay, so that's the problem. We need some new blood. We need some new blood in there. And now,
I would hope that the auditor of the state would know something about property taxes. That's just me. Or even the treasurer should know something about property taxes.
Yeah, and not just something that they read. Somebody gives them, they read, so they sound real intelligent. Why can't we just, like we've been talking about before, get rid of the property taxes some way, shape, or form?
They should understand the whole property tax, since it is such a significant, revenue generator for the state. They should know how it's impacting the people. Where everybody's now, want to eliminate the income tax and focus on the property tax.
Yeah. Well, we're going to have some major changes coming up in the school system, too.
President Trump pushing for sweeping education reform, including potentially dismantling the Department of Education altogether.
What do you think of that?
I think it's a great idea.
Dismantling
push it down to the local level, push it to the state, get the feds out of it, completely. Because you look at results, and if the results aren't there, and then Trump is probably looking at that, let's just chop it off at the head, and we'll push it down to the state level, and then it should ultimately be at the local level, because we're not getting the results in the state of Ohio. If you've looked at I think the last number was 40% of the kids at the third grade level are not reading at grade level. That's a tremendous number. And the same thing with math. I think it was at the 8th grade level. It's a huge percentage that are not performing at the 8th grade level. So if you want to make some changes, you really need to shake up the whole system, because it's so bad, and it's going to continue to get worse. I even heard in another state, I think it was one of the New England states, they've taken the DEI to the new level where they are saying that teachers no longer have to be able to read to be qualified in that state, to be reading teachers.
What? Say that again?
Yeah, I can't remember the state, but I was reading an article that said that they've taken the DEI to a new level, that they are not requiring teachers that are reading teachers to be able to really function as good readers.
Former Department of Education Press Secretary and Defense of Freedom Institute spokeswoman Angela Morabito joins me now.
You know, these Democrats are just total hypocrites on education. Where was the outrage a couple weeks ago when we found out that 1 in 3 eighth graders can't read? Where was the outrage when
1 in 3 eighth graders cannot read?
Students were locked out of schools for upwards of a year during COVID thanks to those teacher union bosses. It was crickets from these people. And yet, when President Trump decides that it's time to cut back some of this wasteful bureaucracy, then they're up in arms and they've apparently forgotten how to make appointments. The education department spends $80 billion a year and it educates 0 students. President Trump has been very clear that he is the school choice president.
All right, among presidents.
All right, here we go. Basic reading. All right, 69% and 70%. This is the failure rate, not the success rate. That's the failure rate. 69% of fourth graders do not have basic reading skills. 70% of eighth grade. So it gets worse as they get older.
Yeah.
President Trump's.
That's Leonard. You'd agree that's got to change. We cannot just continue with that. So that's why I remember, over 10 years ago, they were talking about getting out of public education, and that was probably good advice. And that's why we're seeing an increase in homeschoolers.
Yeah.
And that's why I think money should follow the kids, and we don't automatically go to the public school that's in our district.
Exactly. Exactly. That's what they're saying
Early
here.
executive orders, one promoting school choice, and as you can see on the nation's report.
Now here's the failure for basic math standards.
Oh my gosh.
Fourth graders, 61%. But then when you get to eighth grade, well, of course, I guess the math gets tougher. 78%, almost 80%. Eighth graders cannot do basic math.
We are not uneducated society, and it's continued to get worse. And unless the people, rise up, what's going to change? What will really change? It's obviously the legislators don't want to do anything about it.
No, they don't. A lot of money flowing into that Department of Education that, going into people's pockets and stuff like that. That's what it's really all about. And all of this outcry that's been happening, it's because these guys are afraid they're going to get caught, all right? They're afraid they're going to get caught. When you look at what Doge is doing with the USAID, these people are just going completely crazy. Schumer's going nuts. Waters is going nuts. AOC is going crazy. They're all going crazy. But that's because they've got their hands in the cookie jar, okay? They got their hands in the cookie jar, and they're going to get caught. There's just no two ways about it. They are going to get caught with their hands, and that means prison. That means they are going to prison for a long time. Trump's not playing games. This department.
Well, have you seen any of the statistics, Joe? Do you have something that shows some of the statistics? I printed out something that
go ahead.
shows some of these things were unreal.
Yeah, what do you got?
1.5 million to advance diversity, equity, and inclusion in Serbia's workplaces and business communities.
In Serbia?
Yeah, in Serbia. 70,000 for production of a DAI musical in Ireland. 2.5 million for electric vehicles in Vietnam. 47,000 for a transgender opera in Colombia. That's just some of the wasteful spending.
And now wait a minute, 47,000 for an opera. Considering what you're paying for everything else, that probably isn't that bad, really.
It's probably a real deal, yeah. I didn't know there's a big call for it, but hey, there's also $6 million to fund tourism in Egypt. I didn't realize that.
What are they going to do in Egypt? There's nothing but sand.
Yeah, I know.
A lot of
They've got
beachfront property. A lot of beachfront property
there too.
All right.
Yeah, but
well,
why should we be funding tourism in Egypt? I don't understand.
yeah, that's a good question. And we're not. All right. The bottom line is we're not. This money is not going where it's supposed to. I saw, and I was going to download the tape, and I didn't have time, but I saw a school that we spent $150 million building out in Africa or somewhere. It was a hut. It was an absolute hut. That's it.
$150 million.
$150 million. I mean, he could have built the thing for $20,000. I mean, it was just that bad. It was like one room. I don't even know if they had flooring. And it was just so horrible. It was like, it was a joke, okay? The only thing they really spent any kind of money on was the plaque above the door saying, furnished by United States, USAID. But
yeah, so that's a lot of money that's going to politicians somewhere.
It's going somewhere. I mean, the money, if some of it is coming directly back to the politicians, you know that because of how rich they're getting. But it's also, money is going to different directions too. It's moving around to, what do they say here? Different agencies, NGOs and stuff. The money will go into an NGO that says they're going to build a school, and then they'll shift it to another NGO, or they give it to some other organization and stuff like that. A lot of it has to, very leftist, wokist organizations are getting this kind of money. Some of it they use to turn around and attack us, through social media and stuff. But
wasn't it President Kennedy that started the USAID? And I think it probably had, good intentions in the beginning as a worthwhile support to other countries. But like anything else, I mean, when humans get involved, it gets corrupted, and it's probably
it gets corrupted because nobody is watching over it. So that's just human nature.
Right.
If there's nobody watching over it, and there's no audits, and the Treasury Department, which has a heck of a lot more money, the Treasury Department is not ever audited. Come on, I mean. No wonder. I mean, they're having a great time, these congressmen and women, having a great time.
Yeah, I saw him outside the building. They wouldn't let him. There's a young man that his job was to keep them all out.
Yeah. And like I was saying, the whole thing with those judges, those activist judges, I don't know how much pull they really have, but you have a judge there, like I said, on February 6th, that Colleen Catali, who put restrictions on what they could do at the Treasury Department. But then this judge, Paul Engelmeyer, came along, and he really put the kibosh on everything big time. But he's got 19 other attorney generals from different states that are also pushing this whole lawsuit to stop Doge from any access to the Treasury Department. They want no... Now, that's suspicious. That is very suspicious.
Yeah, it really is, yeah. No sunlight on the Treasury Department's numbers at all. Yeah, that's very suspicious. Oh, they're playing it like you can't look at any personal information. That's how they're playing it. The Doge is going in there to, take Social Security numbers or something from Treasury officials. Some cockamamie.
Well, like
excuse like
Musk said, hey, I was running PayPal. I think that was one of his companies at one time, PayPal, and we're in charge of 100 million people. We had all personal data from them, and you never heard of any corruption or anything going on at PayPal. It was run very smoothly and efficiently and everything. So it's not like he's new to this stuff. He's just trying to. He will find what's going on, and Trump is leading the brigade. And
I think Trump is serious about exposing them, Joe. Don't you agree? I mean, I think he's going to name names.
He has nothing to lose because they took a bullet, and he's alive by the grace of God, and that bullet just skimmed the side of his head. Can you imagine that? Somebody with a high-powered rifle, and the bullet skims the side of your head. That's about as close as you can come to dying as possible. And
yeah, he turned his head at just the right moment. It's amazing. Providential, really.
Yeah, just at the perfect right time. So
Hey, Leonard, would you agree that they all should be exposed?
It's interesting that you bring this up because I did a little study just to find out where we are as far as where we started and where we are today. Now, the country was basically running on 5 governmental departments. And since the inception of our country, we have close to 500 departments in the government. And what's interesting is 85% of those government entities are illegitimate compared to what should be legal in the Constitution. That's how far off the rail we are. So I appreciate the fact that he's going into exposing things, but I tell you one thing, some of those departments, he's really just going to have to just cut them. They have to go. And that's going to be a tough call because you and I, Brian, we know everybody's protecting their turf. So they're going to scramble like eggs. So
yeah, Joe, we're seeing that at the local level when we talk to people at the local level. Or Leonard's had some debates with people that it's very obvious that they're just protecting their turf. When we talk about eliminating property tax, they're only worried about their job that they have at the local level. Unfortunate, but that's the reality.
Well, we've got to work. One thing we have to do is we've got to work to get more state reps, state senators, and that behind the movement with the property taxes, trying to get those property taxes cut or eliminated. But it's that's the key, I guess. We got to start working with more and more of the state reps who are willing to do it. But it ain't easy. It ain't easy. It ain't easy. And then you come up with this. I mean, nothing but the same old guys at the top. Just
you make a good
seats.
point about Vivek, getting in there. New blood is probably what's needed.
Because new blood.
We're just going to recycle the same thought process.
Oh, God. Yeah, that's the problem, man. These guys aren't supposed to be career politicians. They're supposed to get in, help the country, help the state of Ohio, and then get out. You don't just sit in there and play musical chairs over and over and over. But I don't know. So you guys didn't bet on the Super Bowl, huh? You guys didn't do any of that betting? You got to do it before the tax goes up to 40%.
I think I'm betting big when I buy a lottery ticket. $3.
I know one person that threw their lottery ticket away before the lottery, and I said, "Why'd you do it?" I don't win anyhow. Who cares?
Yeah.
I thought, okay, well,
he was
that
just
makes a lot of
donating
sense.
to the state.
Yeah, he's just right. He's just trying to help out the state.
But
as much as he can.
remember, Joe, when the lottery first started, the reasons for the lottery was because you're going to fund the schools. It's going to take care once and for all the funding of public education.
Right. So property taxes would never have to go up. Remember?
Yeah. What a bunch of lies.
Politicians lied to us. They lied to us.
No, wow.
What are we going to
It's
do?
incredible. So all we've done with the lottery, we've created a lot of jobs and probably producing a fair size amount of money, but it's not all going to the schools.
We don't know where it's going, and that's the other problem too. Remember, we were saying that DeWine likes to create these commissions so that the money goes into a commission and then it gets distributed out, and that's.
The more I think
that's
about
why we
it,
need Doge. We need Doge.
Yeah, the more I think
Ohio.
about it, we're going to look into that Ohio lottery and see if we can find some old advertisements that said this will take care of all the school funding, and then we'll do a little bit of homework and find out how much is coming in and how much is going out to the schools and other places. I think the people need to know that. Leonard, what do you think?
I agree with you 100%. Now, what's interesting, Brian, I know this is a daunting task, but we really need to get a handle on the budgeting flow chart for the state. And the reason why I say that is because I think we'll be in for a surprise when we see where the money is actually going. And there may be more there than what we realize, but because of all the nooks and crannies and people lining their pocket, man, I'm telling you, we've created such a monster we got to dig down and do some hard work and really get into some nitty gritty, because if not, I mean, people have no idea of what's going on around them until they get a bill and say, "Hey, what happened here?" Then they don't have a clue. So we got some work to do.
Joe, I can't tell you on the property tax, our investigation to date, to replace the $11 billion that's collected locally from all the property taxes, we'd need about a 4.5% sales tax. So we could eliminate 60 to 70% of the property taxes right now and replace it with a sales tax.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's something you got to.
We're going to ask people. We're going to be talking
that.
to 4 or 5 groups in the next month. We're going to find out from them what's their appetite for that.
Well,
would that satisfy them? Because they know the property tax is we're on an unsustainable path.
Yeah, I say anything you do to get rid of those property taxes would be great. Anything you can do to play this a second.
Number one issue that I've heard in the last 2 years, the number one concern from my neighbors in Lake County is that they're being taxed out of their homes. Without a doubt, not even close. There have been more complaints about property taxes than anything else. There should be a freeze on property values in between sales. That accomplishes 2 things. It eliminates this ridiculousness of paying tax on a gain you've never had. And it gives us a fair value. I'm sorry, and with respect to anyone who may have served as county auditor in the past, I know you're following state law, but if anyone wants to buy my house for what the county says it's worth, sold. I'll see you afterwards.
Yeah, he makes a lot of sense there. Yeah, you guys did a good job on that tax. You got to start getting that out all over the place, those kinds of meetings and stuff like that. Everybody's behind you. You got everybody's back. Everybody will support you on it. So, I don't know. That's about the only thing.
We're debating it all the time, even among ourselves. Leonard and I, we spend a lot of time, which way do we go? Full elimination or something in between. But we're going to ask the people in the next month, for some feedback, because we're doing this for not only our generation. We want an immediate fix, for the seniors right now, but we're doing it, for the other generations that are coming behind us. We want them to have property ownership. We do not want them to be just serfs and living in government subsidized housing, where you have the top 1% and then you've got the rest of the country. That's what will happen if you own the property.
Yep.
That's what we got to do. That's what we got to do.
We have people that don't understand the property tax. It's very complicated, and it needs to be simplified, but inevitably we need to get rid of it.
And we break the bad news to them that they are not homeowners. They are merely renters from the government.
Ken, are you out there? Maybe we could talk a little bit. I don't know if you're with me or not. You're probably watching the Super Bowl. You there? Yeah, I was going to say, well, anyhow, I do want to plug this here for a second because we're on Rumble. We're on X. We're trying to build a real big platform on X. I mean, we're trying. I think X marks the spot. I'm really excited about X, but we are also on Rumble. You can find us here on Rumble and YouTube. But on YouTube, what I found is we can't go live on YouTube because if you say anything about COVID-19 or you say anything about a stolen election, you're done. And so we've lost our platform because of that. Just recently, I don't know. We had a guest on. I think it was when Jennifer Gross was on. I think we got into a slight discussion about COVID-19.
Is that right? Really?
And YouTube said, you guys are out of here. That's it. 3 strikes, you're out. And they took away the channel completely. So we're trying to rebuild it under, I think we started a different YouTube channel. I think we had to modify the name or something a little. I'm not even sure what it's called. I think it is still Ohio Political News, but maybe we had to put a 1 after it or some BS thing. But anyhow, So you got to be careful on YouTube. So we can only put pre-recorded stuff on YouTube. We can't do anything live like we're doing right now. We're doing it live. If there's anybody in the chat that wants to say something, please say something. We'd like to talk to you. And, we were actually working, too, about trying to get some phone lines going with the Google Voice and stuff like that. We were experimenting with it. And I thought we had it working, but it didn't work. But that'll be fun, too, if we can get a phone line hooked up so people could call as well as chat and stuff like that. I'd like to really get some dialogue going back and forth between us and whoever's watching and stuff like that. That's what makes it fun, and I really look forward to that.
Well, Joe, we can announce that we will be live streaming tomorrow for our political news. Leonard and I and John Maher will be at the Geauga Tea Party. We will be talking to them about property taxes, so you'll be able to watch it, and we'll also have it recorded for those that may want to watch it at a later time.
Yeah, excellent. That's terrific. Yeah, to get you guys out there live streaming as much as possible. And that's something we want to start doing more of, too, is live streaming. I don't know. I just like it. I just think there's something exciting about live streaming,
Mm-hmm.
Instead of, it's not bad watching it after the fact, too, but to watch it live, because anything can happen, that's kind of always interesting. Well, I'm going to go around the horn here. Maybe we'll make it a short night tonight. Let's go with Leonard. You got anything you want to say, Leonard, tonight before we wrap it up?
Yeah, I was thinking about Brian's question that we were going to ask to the audience about our path forward. There is one drawback in that question, and you know what it's going to be? The answer is dependent upon whether or not they understand the importance of true ownership. Because if you don't understand that, you're going to default back to doing what you can to just keep afloat. Ownership is not going to be on your radar. So we might be kind of stacking the deck a little bit that when we ask that question. Just something to think about. So.
Gotcha. Yeah, you guys are doing great work with the property tax. A bunch of warriors out there. I'm glad we got you.
Well, the other issue, and Leonard and I have talked about this before, that our American dream, our generation, the over 60 bunch, our American dream may not be the same American dream for those, under 40, under 30. The under 30 crowd may not want the family, may not, as long as they've got a job and they've got maybe 1,000 square foot apartment and a dog and they go on vacation, maybe that's their American dream. It would be sad, but that may be a reality.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So that means without property ownership, they will truly be just servants or serfs of the state.
Yeah, and we got to stop that. So we got to stop it, man. We got to stop it. Well, thank you for being warriors and everything like that. I'm looking forward to that live stream tomorrow, and we'll talk more.
Okay, Joe. Thanks a lot.
All right. Well, you guys take care, and remember this. Okay, is outgoing.
Is she strong enough to do this? Or you couldn't carry my husband out of a fire? Which my response is, he got himself in the wrong place if I have to carry him out of a fire.
Oh!
You couldn't carry my husband out of a fire. Which my response is, he got himself in the wrong place if I have to carry him out of a fire.
Good night.
Good night, bro.